Hello everyone, and welcome to the celebration of the 25th anniversary of the Broadcasting Services Act. Michelle Rowland is here with us, and I think quite a number of us know about Michelle, but let me say that she's got a very impressive both professional and parliamentary record. She was Shadow Minister for Citizenship and Multiculturalism, Shadow Minister for Small Business, and currently Shadow Minister for Communications. She's also had a number of executive positions in the public sector and elsewhere. Interestingly, her interest in multiculturalism, small business and communications are of direct relevance to community television. Why? Because Channel 31, as we all know, caters for cultural diversity with more than 20 language groups participating in our programming. Small business, it's the area where we derived our revenue, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And communications, because it's the portfolio in the federal government that is directly responsible for Channel 31 up to the period that we hold the free-to-air license. Now, community broadcasting, together with the national and commercial broadcasting, constitute the three pillars of the Broadcasting Services Act. So community television is listed in the Act. It's not something that, came out of nowhere. CTV, I'll call community television CTV. CTV, in contrast with community radio, has received very little government funding and support. Despite this, we have managed to survive, and here in Melbourne, I could say thrive, with a recent annual turnover of $2.5 million from sponsorships and airtime fees. Unfortunately, in 2014, the federal government decided not to renew Channel 31's free-to-air license, directing CTV into becoming an online broadcaster by the end of 2015. The then Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, argued that the government needed the FTA spectrum for testing the MPEG-4 new technology, and that Channel 31 would be more successful as an online broadcaster. Two things. Both of these claims have been proven wrong. The tests were not really required, at least until now, and Channel 31 was almost made bankrupt with the significant loss of advertising or sponsorship revenue as a result of the announced imminent loss of the free-to-air. Thousands of Channel 31 volunteers and supporters opposed the loss of the FTA and advocated that we should embrace the online-only status at the same time as other broadcasters. We recognise the impact of the digital disruption and the rapidly changing media habits of our viewers. However, as a lean community broadcaster that receives negligent funding from the government for our operations, we knew that it would require several years to re-establish a social enterprise that would enable us to operate in the new and very challenging online environment. The numerous extensions we have been granted since 2016 prove how wrong the initial government decision was to force us out of the FTA within a short period of time. CTV is still very valuable complement to the commercial and national media, as it encourages ordinary people to participate in the media and to have a voice. People living with disability, cultural diverse groups, at-risk youth and other minorities are keen to continue to fund their own programs on Channel 31, and they put in many hours of voluntary work every week in order to empower their communities and give them the opportunity to participate in the rapidly emerging digital revolution, if I can call it that. We continue to reach 1.5 million unique viewers in Melbourne and Geelong every month. We are not resisting change. We merely wish to be given adequate time and resources to adjust and succeed in the new environment. Unfortunately, the sudden announcement that we would lose our FTA has threatened our viability, and if it was not for the philanthropic sector recognizing the important contribution we make to social well-being, Channel 31 would not have survived. We are grateful to Senator Xenophon for his recent actions to prolong our FTA life, and we're also very pleased with the initiative, Michelle, to consult with the community on this very important issue. Thank you also for the leadership you are showing in relation to community television, and we are optimistic that in the next few months you will be able to develop a strategy or a position paper or policy paper that would maintain community television along the lines of community radio. There seems to be an unexplained discrepancy here. There are two branches of community broadcasting. One is radio and the other is television, and online is something that emerges in between those. Community radio has the privilege of some $17 million, and that's good. They deserve it. But what about community television? Don't they deserve $1, $2, $3, $4 million? Somehow government has got it wrong, and it's important that we rectified it. We are very hopeful that you might be the person that does that. Thank you.